Hi everyone, this is Claire from the Study Gurus. In today's video, I'm going to talk about a study technique that we absolutely loved because it helped keep our study on track. Particularly at the beginning of your exam study, figuring out where to start can be really overwhelming because you've got so much to cover and probably not a whole lot of time to do it. This study technique will help you figure out what topics you have to study for to prepare adequately for your exams, and it'll help guide your study and keep you on track right throughout the study process all the way up to the exam itself. Now, the study tool I'm talking about are called subject maps. And subject maps are awesome because as well as doing all of those things, because they do all of those things, they really help to keep your stress levels down and they make you feel like you're organized and like you know what you're doing. So, what on earth is a subject map? All it is a breakdown of each subject that you have an exam for. So it's just a document, kind of like this one. You can see that it's super simple. Your subject map simply lists the main topics of each subject that you have an exam for. And under each main topic, you list all of the subtopics for that main topic. And under those subtopics, you list the main points of each of those subtopics. Let's take a look at an example subject map that we've made for math. So our first main topic that we're going to study for math is algebra. And the first subtopic that we're going to study within the main topic of algebra is factorizing. And under the subtopic of factorizing, we've listed the main key points that you need to make sure that your study covers off before the exam. The next subtopic we need to study is expanding. The third subtopic is simplifying expressions. And the fourth subtopic is linear equations. So you can see this document is literally a map of the entire subject of math. Well, it's a map of everything that you've covered for math for the year, and importantly, it covers all of the topics that might come up in the exam. You don't need to stick to this exact method of making a subject map exactly, but the point is it's really helpful to have some kind of document similar to this one that breaks down your subjects and lists all of certainly the main topics and subtopics of each subject you have exams for. This way you can see on paper everything that you need to cover over the course of your exam study. That's going to make sure that you don't miss anything while you're studying. There's nothing worse than getting to just a few days out from an exam and realizing that you have forgotten to study for something really important. That is a worst nightmare. Having a subject map by your side that you can refer to throughout the course of your study is going to make sure that that never happens. Having your subject broken down and written down like this, where you can pin it up by your desk or in the exercise book of your study notes, is also really reassuring. There's something about just seeing the subject broken down in front of you, shows you exactly what you need to cover, that makes you kind of think, yep, okay, this is the subject, this is what I need to know for my exam, rather than it just being, mixing around in your head and all a little bit, just not as concrete. It's nice to have this piece of paper that you can refer to, and it's really satisfying when you can tick off subjects as you've covered them. So how should you go about making your own subject maps? Well, that's totally up to you. Remember, one of our mantras is that you need to study in the way that works for you, not for us, and that might be slightly different to this example subject map here. Don't go and list absolutely everything you need to know for your exam because that's basically what your study notes are going to be. But just give yourself some kind of guide that you can follow that's going to keep your study on track. We personally just scribbled up pretty basic and probably not very tidy handwritten ones just on one A4 piece of paper, and we'd stick that in the front of an exercise book that we would use to write our study notes. We found it really helpful to stick our subject maps in the front of an exercise book that we would write our study notes in, because as you went through your study notes, you could flick back to the subject map and just check where you're at really easily. So you'll probably hear us babble on about subject maps quite a lot. We like to talk about them often because it's just such a simple study technique. They don't take very long to make and they save you so much time as you're studying because you're not stressing about where you're at, you're not wondering what to study next, you're not stressing if you've forgotten everything. It's all there in your subject map. Hopefully you've got some kind of document from school that sets out what the curriculum for the year is, or you might just know exactly what topics and subtopics you need to know for your exam off the top of your head. Either way, hopefully it's not too hard for you to make sure that your subject maps cover off everything you need to know for your exam, and they shouldn't take too long to make. Maybe your first one might take you up to half an hour or so, and that's totally fine because you're going to save so much more than half an hour in the long run. Sometimes you'll hear people talk about study techniques that probably are more work than they're worth. Well, subject maps are definitely not one of those. They're such a time saver, such a stress saver. We hope that you find them as useful as we did.